Oh, oh, oh. Let me get my headphones on here. Oh, welcome to the Halloween edition of Roig Rage. That's right. But first, an update. I got a little feedback from, not in the way that I wanted, though. Apparently, there are those that feel there's plenty of Roig, but not enough rage. And, well, I do have a reason for that. Reason being is, I don't know if I told you guys that the first episode is not actually the official first episode. I did an episode that I let a few choice people listen to, and they thought that it was a little too angry, and that it could do damage to certain areas of my life, and that I should try again. So I did. So that basically spooked me, right? Ooh, what that fine word for this Halloween edition of Roig Rage. It spooked me, and yeah, I kind of backed off. It being, this podcast being something that has a fury to it. I'm sure it'll be there at some point or another, but maybe I'll be more professionally furied than apparently the way I was on the first unofficial episode. That, and it's really odd. I can't hear. Oh, this is the tragedy of doing this live, right? So give me a sec, guys. Let me just turn up my... Let's see if groovy. And the next or final thing I want to address is that I got a little criticism that I didn't go as far as I could with certain things that I was talking about last episode. Reason being is I believe that this is a two-way street, right? And if you want me to go there, you gotta let me know officially. Because I've been getting texts and stuff like that. And I desperately need the validation and the attention of somebody emailing me at roigragepodcast@gmail.com. Tell me what you want to hear more about. I'll go there. I've got no problems going there. But I need to know that you're there. You know? So I think those are the two things, right? Yeah, that I don't go deep enough, that I didn't go deep enough, and that there isn't so much rage as there is Roig. What can you do? I hope those reasons satisfy you for the time being. And to be really honest, I was going to make this episode about anger, and it just didn't seem too entertaining, really. What did I say? Entertaining, really. It's not that entertaining. And, maybe I can make it entertaining at some point, these things, but presently, when I'm seeking help from the psychiatric community, maybe I should keep things a little light. You see? Hence, Halloween episode. Now, I don't know about you, but this is my favorite time of year. Always has been, always will be. I want to die in this season. Um, and I'll start by relaying this memory I have when I was a really young kid. I couldn't even give you the age. I'm going to say somewhere between like 8 and 10, right? Somewhere in there. When consciousness is kicking in and uh there's you have like the tiniest bit of autonomy or so that you hadn't had in previous years, I think around that age. Um Especially in that day and age. I lived in a neighborhood that was probably the best neighborhood to live in for this time of year. It is very, very woodsy and treesy and very light 50s suburban. Like it's the neighborhoods that you see in all the sci-fi and horror films of the 50s and 60s and what like Tim Burton was up to and such. Like that's where I came from, right? And I don't know how I was able to do this. Maybe because I had already been bitten by the Pumpkin King. And my parents understood my need for all things spooky. And because I don't know if was I holding on to my mom's hand? I don't think so. I think I'm conflating two memories. My memory is of this is like this is I went I walked outside of my house and I got to walk across the street. We were on the corner, right? So I walked across the street to the next block, but then walked across the street again to the like north side of the block, right? Because about four houses in, this house, I don't even think I ever saw anybody go in and out of, really. This house, their yard was everything Halloween. Haystacks. I mean, it was done in such a way, it was done so tastefully. Um, I remember the haystacks and a lot of pumpkins and such. That's some kitschy things. I think, like a witch's park here uh, sign, sticking out of the ground. They did have. I'm looking at cobwebs in my mind's eye right now. They did have cobwebs outside too, but they did it not. They weren't glumps and like clumpy and such the way that you see some people do. Which, if the Pumpkin King did exist and had power, would strike those people down. Because if you are a spider web clumper, we don't need you. You get it? Get it together and thread it out, man. So, the clumpers. God, bugs the shit out of me when I see that. So put a little effort, man. I mean, yeah, stuff is like 99 cents. You can, spend a little longer with it. Jeez. Um, Neither here nor there. I basically wanted to sit on the sidewalk and just stare at these people's house forever. Of course, they would change up the decorations, so I'd be sitting through 3 seasons of nonsense. But it had such an impact on me, and I know I stayed there for a while, and I went back to it a few times for sure. And which probably, well, trying to think how hard I went outside of our house. We didn't really go hard outside. Because I always felt like, with the weather and everything like that, like, because we would make our own decorations as well, right? Right, right. Oh, it's a new habit of mine. It's a new speech habit of mine. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know. But I have been throwing in the right. The right? So instead of turning the yard of ours into a graveyard or whatnot, uh, we would turn the house into a haunted house, period, you know? And bless my parents' hearts, they would leave up the very well positioned, very well threaded cobwebs up all year round. Yep, you heard me. All year round. Can you believe it? Whose fucking parents are that fucking awesome that would let you leave your Halloween cobwebs up all year round? I mean, they had guests, other family members, just workers, or, like a plumber or a carpenter or whatever. My sister's friends would come over, let alone mine. And it was totally accepted and sort of like marveled at. And I wish I could continue the tradition on to today. It's such a, I can't imagine what people thought when they would walk into our house and it's March. you know? And there would be cobwebs strewn. I'm talking from our ceiling down to, go right down to the arm of a chair sitting there. And so what is that? Like a 10-foot stretch? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Like these were official cobwebs and whatnot. I stayed away from the spiders, putting the little black spider things that came with it, because I do not like the spider. The spider is the one aspect of Halloween that can be abolished. Or it's doing its job, because spiders are fucking scary as all shit. And I don't care how big. I mean, I don't care how small. Like spiders and me don't do well at all. I didn't even watch the new Spider-Man. Listen. So, my parents rock, your suck. Your suck only if you wanted to do what I was able to do, right? Which was, I was able to live inside of my own haunted house all year round. It's really easy to take for granted, right? But being 42 and doing this with you now, that's incredible. So even this time of year brings a sort of, reverence for my parents in that regard. Let alone one year, my dad and a friend of his, bro, it was maybe, I'd say 6 or 7 of us in the neighborhood, nighttime, going trick-or-treating, not paying attention to shit, didn't realize that my dad and his friend had booked it in front of us and laid down in this patch of fern, I think. Tall fern underneath this like huge oak tree. And obviously we come up upon it, and mark my death date, because if I die really young, it's because of that scare that my dad and his friend gave me and my family and some friends rising up out of that fucking fern. It's almost so uncharacteristic of my dad. It's so brilliant. Like he just got into the spirit of it all, right? Let me keep cobwebs up and fucking laying down in some shrubs to come up and give us again. I haven't forgotten it. It's one of the funnest things ever. That scare was probably, it's the number one on top scares on my top scares list for sure. Um, what a beautiful, beautiful moment. It's such a great neighborhood. Such a great neighborhood to trick or treat. I mean, it helped that yeah, it was uh, sort of ritzier neighborhood, so they had the good stuff. There was like an ex Dolphins player who um who would dress up and we would always go to his mansion. Like my family was on the west side of of this town, and those people were on the east side. Mm. And he was great. What did we? God, did we call him the icky disgusting man? Was he the icky disgusting man? He could have been the icky disgusting man, because whatever mask or whatever makeup he wore was so official, official. Like, God, I can remember. I'm looking up right now in my own room, looking up to where I would wait for the door to open and this guy to come out and scare the shit out of us. I don't know how we got the candy from some of these places, right? Would we? Because we'd be running and screaming. Did we calm down and go back up? Maybe that's what happened, or we would send in the rents, right? Hmm. I don't know. But this was a neighborhood that yeah, you had your eggings, you had your toilet paperings and such, and your soapings, but in such a you know made for TV representation of it, right? Like just so innocent, at least from my vantage point, for so long, because it lasted a while. This vibe there. The town itself would block off, man, I'd say from about 96 to like 101, 100, somewhere in there. Block off all these blocks and have what was called the Halloween Howl. Any of you ever swing through a Halloween Howl? Had friends maybe that you went with or something? Because it was around for forever, and we'd have games, and there'd be I played Dracula's son in some kind of like Halloween little production we did, and my vampire mom was a real estate agent. That she still does it. She's still real estating actually, and I loved my vampire father. Just a brilliant, 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 brilliant performer. I haven't seen in easily 20 years. Uh, and we would put on the like a little show for people that would come through the theater. And yeah, they'd have costume contests. And I used to work at a deli in the same area, right on the same street, and it was my favorite time of year. When I would stand next to the big window that I could see out into the street and watch the workers and everybody start putting up, put everything together all day long. So much fun, so much fun, so much fun seeing customers that I had known for years, having worked there at the deli, and to see them then Halloweened out and where they would go with it. Who was more, kind of conservative, and the other people that were like, "Whoa, that is not your daytime persona." It's so much fun. Watch the dads come in to and be like, "Hey, can you put a beer in this cup and a little top on it or whatever?" Like, and we would do it because it was so much fun. And yeah, jeez, the Halloween howl. Yeah, and they had to stop it. I mean, I don't know why. There was like there was some controversy, whatever. Who cares? I got it while it was good, and it was very good, and for a very long time. Now, I have run into some trouble myself with costumes. Seems I court controversy wherever I go. Now, I don't know which I don't know which costume came first. I want to say the one I got in trouble for the most, which was my Freddy Krueger costume. Now, they at the time were offering this kind of shitty pepperoni faced. You know what I'm talking about? That where it has that like one pepperoni on the left cheek, and that was like the burnt scar of Freddy Krueger masks. That was everywhere, right? In Kmart and all these places. Well, I got my mask. It was like ceramic. It was plastic, but ceramic. It was a thing of beauty. I can smell it. I could smell it. Mmm. Oh, I can still smell the inside of that mask. Oh, again, my mom would take me to this magic shop that was on 125th Street, close to Biscayne. Nobody even knows it ever existed. It quite literally appeared and disappeared, and nobody, I can't find hide nor hair of any evidence that it ever existed. But it was a place that my mom would take me, and they had up on top, instead of like a crown molding, around, they would have all the masks that they had. And they had masks, like predator masks, but that were like $500. It's incredible what went into these things. And such a dope shop, too. I mean, they'd always be performing magic. Uh, Gosh, where are these? Where did it all go? Uh, and there was this Freddy Krueger mask, and I nearly shat myself when I saw it. And my parents wouldn't even let me watch the movies. They wouldn't even let me watch the Freddy Krueger movies. But my mom let me purchase, and I want to say it was 99.99. And I don't know what I promised my mom to get it for me or whatever, but she got it. Still have it. I there it's up actually. I There's a picture of it on Terror on the Air, the IG page of Terror on the Air. You'll see it. It's there, and you'll see the difference of what I'm talking about. So in getting that mask, what I didn't get were the glove, right? And mm, but my mom being the very resourceful woman that she is, now there's going to be this sort of like cognitive dissonance that's going to occur here. Stay with me because my mom as a mom, she made these gloves, and she made two gloves. I don't know why, but you know, it's better than one. And that's probably I probably thought he had two gloves because I'd never seen the movies. And so she made me a pair of gloves, and instead of knives, she put these long screws, right? And so when I put my fingers in, they would, you know, erect the uh, the screws, and they were just screws, right? Long screws, okay. And it looked cool as shit. I mean, there weren't the blades or anything, but it still is fucking dope. It's still homemade, and so when I got to school that Halloween morning, uh, I was swarmed by the kids, by my classmates, and uh, and um yeah, no, I was the superstar. I was the superstar. I was just making sure that I'm not going over time and shit. Um, I remember walking onto that PE court, and just everyone couldn't believe what they were seeing. It also came with a hat, you know. It had a cool. It was like a foam one, but it had a little damage to it, so it was really really effective. Unfortunately, I don't want to say it was like an adult because it's usually the people around you that sell you the hell out, right? uh, Somebody had a problem with me having the gloves, and so in my class, yeah, they took the gloves away from me for the whole day, um, which completely obliterated um, my my Halloween spirit. And that evening, I remember getting a debilitating headache. And if I were to psychoanalyze it, it was, you know, I was like being celebrated, yay! And then somebody takes away my joy by taking away my gloves, and they were just screws. Like nobody was screwing kids in those days, and uh, so oh, the cognitive dissonance, right? My mom thought it was totally cool to send her, I don't know how old I was, to school wearing gloves with five long screws, well, 10 long screws sticking out of them. My mom had no problem with this. My mom has been a part of the education system at that point for 20 years. Like, I don't know, right? Yeah, maybe 20 years. Yeah, yeah. She's a teacher. She's a guidance counselor. And this is the woman that put screws through my gloves. I, I mean, God bless her. Oh. So then, oh, yeah, I said, yeah. So I got like a debilitating headache. I mean, when the gloves were taken away, and I can kind of remember sitting in class when this happened. I can kind of like get a get a grip on it, and I guess just everything, the tension and everything or whatever, just gave me a headache, and I couldn't go out that night. I remember laying. Oh, wow, this is tragic. Halloween episode. I remember laying on this really thick threaded beige couch, and it had like little bits of some other colors in it, right? I think you can I think you know what kind of couch I'm talking about. There's some probably still in some of our grandparents' places. If I don't have any grandparents anymore. Tragic number two, Trav. Jesus. But I remember laying on that couch and it's right underneath the front window of my parents' house, and listening to the trick or treaters outside, and that, you know, I I still was happy that I got to hear them. I remember I just, yeah, I just had this horrible headache. And if I'm right, the following year is when I came back with a fury. And I went to school as a motherfucking Ghostbuster with the trap and everything. I still have the trap. Ooh, we just got some thunder, people. Did you hear that? The storm approaches. Halloween episode. I went to school as a Ghostbuster, and what was cool about this was when I went to school as Freddy Krueger, where I went to go onto the PE court where we were picked up by our teachers. Like, I went a different way. That just was like immediately I was on the court. There was, like, several different ways to get there, right? It's the field. But when I went as a Ghostbuster, I was dropped off at the other side of the field, right? So I'm walking into the property, and kids, all the kids that are on the PE, on the PE court, they all ran towards me. Now imagine I, with my proton pack and phaser, whatever. What do we call it? A proton. I don't know. What's the thing that the Ghostbusters hold on to? I mean, I could recite the entire Ghostbusters film from beginning to end. Couldn't tell you. It's just a proton pack. Light them up or something. I don't know. If you know what that's called, I'm not going to look it up. Email me. roigragepodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to know what it is. So I had a PKE meter, right? Oh, those rights. At the proton pack, the PKE meter, I had the trap. I was official. And to see the amount of kids coming at me, trying to play with all my stuff, touching the stuff and going, doing the PKE meter to each other and throwing out the trap and everything. See, I was a pretty bad kid in school, and so to get like good attention was few and far between. So Halloween seemed to be where I could really, bring it and show. Well, I'm still doing it today, right? Show people I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster. I just got a little too much thunder in me. That's all. Fortunately, no teacher took anything away from me, and I went out that night. Wow, I can't believe that. Do you hear that? Oh my God. I just want to talk closer. Talk closer? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want to talk closer to you guys. So whenever the thunder roars, you can hear it. I wish I didn't say thunder roar. Could have been a better adjective, yeah. So, being a Ghostbuster, yay! Being Freddy Krueger, But those were back-to-back, totally official, costumed years that obviously had a profound effect on me, seeing as how I still remember them to this day. Amazing. I can, I being on that dewy, that dewy field, that morning dewy field that you would walk on to go to the PE court wait for your teacher. The sun's still low in the sky. It's not even what 8 o'clock or something. Like into the whole field being like lit up by these like little droplets of dew, and all the kids coming at me, blocking out the sun, and surrounding me. Mm. I hope you guys have just as vivid and amazing memories of Halloween. Oh, my tongue's getting a little like, ugh. Sorry about that there. Mm. And to be honest, I think I might have been like a pro wrestler maybe the next year after that, but I don't remember costumes too much after that. After those days, I think I was maybe Ultimate Warrior for one, or one of the Legion of Doom, one of the old Warriors, Road Warriors, Legion of Doom. I think it was Hawk. Yeah, it was Hawk. Rest in peace, Hawk. Um, Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember, but I continued working for that deli for so many years after those years, and so and watching the Halloween Howl be put together satiated a lot of my Halloween jonesing, Halloween fiending. Can't think of the word. I've done that a few times here with you guys during this one. I go to say a word, I'm like, oh man, that is not it, dude. Do you have another one? And I already just said the one, and shit. Well, and I hadn't done the costume thing until I started dating me wife, which I had been so reticent to do it, right? For whatever reason. Reticent, Travis? But we had a banger of a party the first time that my wife and I had a Halloween together. And we didn't even know that it was a popular thing to be, but we were Beetlejuice and Miss Argentina. And you can float around social media and find those pictures of us. And I can't thank my wife enough for giving me my childhood back. And in such a way, dude. My Beetlejuice, I still had long hair. We got like an official suit, like the whole thing. And and she was just as official with the sachet, with the green skin, the red hair, the just the whole sachet. What did I say? The sash. It's a sash. It's a sash. Huh. And we've done a little something every year since then. But that was a fantastic. Oh, it's been 25 years since I have dressed up for Halloween, and to then be able to have just the best party with my sister-in-law and sister-in-laws and uh, doing the whole house up, and their parents have a sizable venue, and the place is packed, and people went all out. It's the funnest shit, right? Halloween gets a lot of shit, doesn't it? It's not really. I don't know. You know what? I think let me back that statement up because I'm a part of a lot of little Halloween groups and shit on social media, and we were knocking on Halloween's door in June. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Uh, um, uh, yeah. Mm. Fortunately, this is as far as my preparation has gotten me. I don't really have too much more on the Halloween thing. I was jealous of a friend of mine who did see all the Freddy Krueger movies. The Freddy Krueger movies? You mean all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, Trev? Yeah, those, buddy. All right, dude. I remember we would carpool to school, and I would have him tell me, I would have him tell me like all about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I would start in one, and he would tell me all about what happened in one, and then we would go, and this would like be a morning thing for a while. I was so jealous. And I can't even tell you when I did start actually watching those flicks. I grew up on more classic stuff, clearly, because my parents wouldn't even let me see Ghostbusters. Actually, Ghostbusters was playing at my elementary school or something, and they didn't want me to watch it. Yeah, yeah, no. Oh, yes, there was at the community center in this town. They would put on a little haunted house thing. I remember going through it once. You would have to be on your hands and knees, and you would go through like tunnels that they made out of chairs and black cloth and whatnot. So, and I guess they would kind of stay in the middle and then come and scare you, that way as you go around the room. And for I think it was a summer camp thing or something, and they were playing Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and I remember watching the beginning, which is there's a school bus that's on this huge point. It's like this, like, what do you call it? Like a it's balancing on this stone sort of like point out, like it's could be 500 stories tall, and the I don't know how else to describe it. I'm so sorry. And I remember Freddy just comes out of nowhere inside of the school bus, and that's when I remember being pulled out, and I'm like, what the hell? Because I must have been, was I teens? No, I couldn't have been teens. My parents weren't that insane or so. But I remember getting pulled out for that. And someone, I think my sister was like, there's no way Travis should be watching this or something. And what the hell? So that was as much as I had seen of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. However, you know what they did let me watch? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And you know what screwed me up to no end? That kid that got sucked into the tube because he was drinking all the chocolate in the river or whatever, and he gets like stuck before getting sucked right out of it or whatever. I didn't know, that I think the kids survive in the end. Do I have that right? Roig Podcat. Fuck it. I'm giving up on you people emailing me. Well, you know what? I think I just proved my parents' point that if I couldn't handle the Willy Wonka kid getting stuck in the tube and then disappearing, thinking that he's dead, I might not have been able to have handled Freddy Krueger. But Freddy Krueger wasn't real. And like the tube was, I don't know, I'm not going to justify it, but that shit did fuck me up for the longest time. And like, I don't know, in ways, like, I can't even begin to get into the ways that kid being stuck in there, in that tube. Oof, 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 oof. So yeah, I guess I just went full blast into just horror and to see how much I could take. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Because I rebelled and I watched everything. Now, and probably my favorite of anything ever is, I think I'm like, it's episode appropriate, is Halloween. I used to, when I used to deliver medicine for a pharmacy, I would go out around maybe around 5:30, maybe, I want to say, and just when the sun is starting to make its descent. And obsessively, I would listen to the score to Halloween, by Mr. Johnny Carpenter. I would listen to it every day at that time. I would recreate that sunset. I also had that sunset vibe that a lot of the film takes place in. There's a great car, the driving scene, where you get a lot of some lens flares and whatnot from that setting sun, and that's always stayed with me. And yeah, I would put on the Halloween score and drive around and deliver medicine to old people. Jesus. At the time, I had a 1985 white Crown Victoria. So I was in a tank and I had a system and it's blasting Halloween. Doom, doom. And it's just, just me. And I also had some songs from the Scream soundtrack, which is a fantastic soundtrack. If you ever want to get in the mood to take you back to whenever you saw Scream for the first time, throw that on. It's also a great like 90s record. and I had some of those songs on tape, and I would put that tape in. So I had like a because you had the tape and then you had the CD player, right? And so I would alternate and whatnot and drive around like I was inside one of those films. I still do it to this day, basically. I don't listen to the Halloween score as I did then. I've sort of even matured in tastes, but I still have those things, I still have those things that I tap, and so they can bring me back to always this time of year, no matter what time of year it is. Because this is the only time of year for me. It's like the best time of my childhood and best time of my adulthood take place in this light. This certain kind of light, right? That we're getting now. I think it's official today, which is fortuitous for me to record this episode on the first day of fall, the first official day of fall. And that means that I have Uh, I wonder. I wonder if kids today would vibe with Mr. Boogedy and Bride of Boogedy. If any of you guys have Disney Plus, I recommend throwing them on. You might like kind of get some childhoody good vibes that you maybe didn't get then when you were a child in Halloween. Who knows what other people feel about this time of year here. Um, but I know what I was going to say. I was going to shit on the way that Halloween's been treated, and it has been treated pretty shittily. But I think there's a bit of a renaissance happening, isn't there? They were advertising for Halloween stuff on TV like before September and in August, and I don't ever remember that. I mean, I would take inventory at my house for the decorations that we would put up probably around July or August. I would take inventory, yes. I would take inventory and I would call around to Kmart, to the Five and Dime, to Eckerd Drugs to see, hey, when's your Halloween stuff coming in? Because I want to take a look at it. Yeah, I was that kid. Some kid would just call you up, at your job, going, "Hey, you got any Halloween stuff in there? Yeah, I just wanted to know because I'm going through my stuff and I'm down a couple ghosts and down a couple kins. Need a couple kins. Gotta, need a, you." But that's the kind of kid that I was, and that's the kind of man that I am. This has been really fun. I don't give a shit about the rage. Who needs the rage? More Roig. 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 That is hard to fucking chant and get two syllables out of, right? Jeez. But, hey, if I forget anything and want to do a whole other hour on Halloween again, it's like, hey, it's a sequel, a horror movie. Hey, it's meta. All right, I am making way too many sound effects that aren't even spooky and not really saying much at all anymore. So that means we're closing things out. Now, I will say it just one more time. Because I'm stupid. That's what I do. That's what I do. I'm stupid. I will mention roigragepodcast at gmail.com. Email me your costume suggestions. Email me your memories of Halloween. You don't understand. Like, you have so much power because I made a promise to you that if you email me, I will read it. Whatever it is. No matter how bad it makes me look, and no matter how deep the shit I gotta tell you is. But, hey, I see you guys are still listening, or at least hitting play for a second so I get a view. I think I just uploaded this we're not just on YouTube anymore. We're all of us. See, I told you, it's a two-way street. It's not just me. We're all on Podbean, which I think I just got to do a little something, and then I'll be on the rest of the streaming channels because a friend recommended that I do it. And as much as I protested, I do end up listening to the more brilliant people around me, my better angels. But it's the season of the demons. Oh. Ooh. Y'all felt that one, right? All right. If I don't... Oh, wait. I'm going to talk to you next week. I totally forgot this is... I was like, oh, I'll, have a happy Halloween and whatever. I'm like, I'll fucking talk to you next week. All right, we'll touch base on some shit. Okay? It's awesome. So cool. Love you. Thank you for listening. Roig Rage, oh. Roig Rage.